Hi there, I'm Geki. Welcome to another one of my reviews. Today I'm going to review Istanbul by Rüdiger Dorn, Pegasus Spiel and AG publisher. And it's a game that was very well received. It won the Kenner Spiel, the CRS 2014, and it's set in Istanbul, of course, and you are a merchant trying to acquire goods and money to then trade into for rubies. First person to get to a certain amount of rubies wins. The board is composed of colorful tiles that are assembled. In the base game they are fixed, then there is another proposed game, and then they invite you, when you learn the game, to just go randomly or choose your own setup. And basically every tile corresponds to an action, and you go around and take the actions. The only twist is that instead of just directly taking the actions, you first have to drop one disc, one assistant. You have a bunch of these, and then later on, when you come to collect your assistant, you take the action. So this creates a delayed reward for the actions that can be interesting. And basically the things they're doing are, you're expanding your cartwheel with one of the tiles. There are other tiles that will allow you to replenish your reserve of goods. There are others that let you gain money, and probably the most interesting ones are those that allow you to get special abilities by paying with resources. You pay one resource, but the required amount is higher and higher. And all of these things that you do allow you to get rubies. There are ways to get them directly through goods and or money. And there are other ways that you gain a benefit, but if you reap a lot of that benefit, like every 2 special tiles, or if you get all 3 parts of your cartwheel that you're lacking in the beginning, you get a ruby. The first person to get to 5 rubies, or more in if you're playing with less players, sudden death wins. So the game is interesting, is refreshing and colorful, and it feels a little different. Although I would disagree that it is tremendously original, because it's not really a programming board. You drop these discs, but you do it just couple of turns before you will take the action, and you're not forced to backtrack exactly the way you came. So you can just go around, select the action that you are willing to take, and then collect the tokens. Even if you were forced to go backtrack, unless you really needed some resources to buy something, you only need to know that you will get the resources somewhere before spending them for something else. So it wouldn't be very complicated. And in the end, the game risks becoming a little repetitive. Once you have your main source of stuff established, goods or resources, you keep going back and forth between getting them and spending them. But to be fair, the game does address this problem, and most of the tiles that allow you to get rubies have an increasing cost for doing this. For example, this is the tile that gives you rubies for goods. And in the beginning of the game, only the 4 starting parts will be showing, so you will have to pay 4 goods to get a ruby. But once someone gets it, the cost increases, and it will be increasing throughout the game. So it's not very repetitive if you're playing with more players, because another thing that I really think is important about this game is that you really want to play it with 4 or 5 players for the full experience. I mean, it still works with 2 or 3. The mechanics are there, and you can focus on dropping your disc and picking them up. But there are a bunch of little things that deal with having a lot of people around. Every time you meet someone else, merchant, not an assistant, not the little disc, but the merchant, the main pawn that they are moving around, you have to pay them 2 gold, 2 coins, and those are not few. In the economy of the game, having to pay 2 can be important, but this of course happens less and less frequently when you're playing with 2 or 3 players. So it makes for a far more interesting interaction in terms of what you're doing in a 5-player game. Most importantly, the things that grow, you really want to beat your people to the tile in order to pay less to get the ruby, and that's also not as important in a 2 or 3 player game. You still want to get there first because you want to win, but you can devise a strategy that will not overlap with the other people's. So despite all of this, the game does feel a little different. It's different from most Euros. It's also, I think, far less deep than most Euros. And it's evocative of the theme. The tiles are beautifully drawn. You're going around collecting these things and selling them. So the theme is not super rich, but it comes through. You have to physically have a good cartwheel to get stuff. And you can send one of your poor family members around to do stuff for you, run errands basically, and hope he doesn't get caught by the police. So the game is interesting. I think if you like different strategies to win, you will like this one. If you're going in looking for the most balanced and super deep game, you will probably not find it here. It's hard to compare it to other games because I have not played games with this exact same mechanic, but it's a light Euro with a solid new mechanism that is easy to teach, deals with dice but not too much. There are a couple of tiles that are in which a good roll, or better said, a bad roll can really ruin your game, but there you could technically avoid them, and there is one of the special powers that lets you have control over it. So I recommend this game. I am not sure it would be among my best ever Spiel des Jahres winners, but it's a very good game, and I do recommend Istanbul by Rüdiger Dorn. Bye.